If you are someone who needs everything to be absolutely perfect, every drawing has to be perfection for you to put it out into the world or for you to even enjoy it, then this video is for you. And honestly, while I was writing out the idea for this video, it felt a little bit personal. It felt almost like a personal attack on me because I've struggled with this quite a bit and I feel like I've resolved a lot of those issues. So I feel like I'm in the perfect position to discuss this. So let's first talk about why this happens to a lot of people and then we'll discuss how to fix it. There's one very common story amongst creatives and it goes like this. At an early age, you discovered drawing or painting or whatever your medium was and you got addicted to it. It was so much fun, there was so much exploration and expression and it just felt so natural. It was a part of who you were. And then suddenly you get a lot of praise for your work. You show your drawings to people and they're like, wow, like you made that? You made that? That's amazing. So you start to get more and more praise, you start to do more drawings, but then over time, a lot of the passion starts to dwindle away. And suddenly, when you think about drawing or whenever you think about painting, you just feel a lot of pressure. The joy isn't there anymore. You feel almost like constrained. You almost feel like you have chains around you where it feels heavy. Just there's an anvil on your chest that just makes it difficult to draw and paint and express yourself. I think this is a very common story and it's a very common story amongst perfectionists. And this is what I like to call the curse of the gifted artist, where you had all this talent early on, or at least you perceive it as talent. Really, it was just you were having so much fun that the drawings turned out great. People started praising you for that talent, and then suddenly you made it part of your identity. Your self-worth started getting attached to the drawings. They started getting attached to the outcome of making art instead of the process of creating. What ends up happening to these artists is that they develop this high standard and there's so much pressure attached to drawing that they just can't express themselves freely, and then suddenly it's all about being perfect. If I can just make a perfect drawing, then I can feel the same sense of joy that I felt early on in my drawing experience. Like you start to chase that validation that you had earlier on, and it becomes almost like an addiction where you're clinging tightly to this memory emotionally, right? You might not remember it logically, but emotionally you're attached to that idea. So it becomes harder and harder to just draw freely and express yourself and try new things because you're so attached to doing well in terms of outcomes. I also do think that our society in general is so obsessed with outcomes. If you say that you draw for fun, some of the questions that might come up is, how much do you sell your drawings for? Like, do you make money off your art? Like there's almost always this need for there to be productivity attached to any hobby. So I think perfectionism is also wrapped up in that, where it's justifiable to do a hobby if you're really good at it. If I do amazing drawings, then people won't question why I spend my time doing it. If I spend my time doing bad drawings all the time, then people are gonna be like, why do you do that, right? I do think that is almost built into the way we are raised, the way we were educated, and that is part of this problem. There are tons of adults I've spoken to where they'll say that they used to draw, or they used to play music or whatever, some sort of creative craft when they were younger, and then they just stopped enjoying it and they just stopped pursuing it because there was no reason to do it. Even though when they tell me these stories, they say it with joy, they say it with excitement, a level of excitement that is unusual for these people. You can see the stars in their eyes. It's just the glow. They'll start to glow when they speak about these hobbies that they used to have. And then they'll say, but I stopped doing it because there's no reason to. Like, I wasn't going to make money off it. I wasn't going to do this and that, as if they couldn't just do it to enjoy it. You know, you don't ask someone like, oh, why do you watch TV? It's not like when you watch TV, there's a specific outcome that you want. Ultimately, it's just about enjoying the experience of watching TV. But for some reason, we've attached outcomes to creative crafts for some reason. I think it's absurd, right? If you enjoy doing something for the sake of it, that's the best place to be in. But unfortunately, for a lot of perfectionists, it almost all just becomes about the outcome. And I've struggled with this so many times where I had to constantly remind myself that drawing is not about the outcome. Even if you do a great drawing, guess what happens? Guess what happens when you do a great drawing? You start a new drawing. That's all that happens. There's no fanfare, there's no magic. No amount of likes online is really going to make you feel that great. It'll be a fleeting feeling. Ultimately, it's about drawing. And after the end of every drawing, you start another drawing. So really doing a perfect drawing is absolutely useless. It doesn't help you. It's not going to do much for you. So let's talk about how to actually solve this for yourself. Ultimately, what we're grappling with is attaching our self-worth to great drawings, to great art, and also just needing to lower those standards. We just need to get used to not needing things to be great and letting go of some of that external validation, the hope, the pressure that we put on these drawings. So one way that I would highly recommend you do this, I think this will work for almost everyone, is for the next month, you're only allowed to do bad drawings and you're not allowed to show them to anyone. So for the next month, if you are a perfectionist, actively only allow yourself to do bad drawings. You're not allowed to do a good drawing. Every drawing has to be bad. And while you do these bad drawings, make sure that you enjoy them. You're not supposed to feel miserable and do bad drawings. I'm saying actively do bad drawings and then reward yourself emotionally for doing it. Now, this will not be easy, right? It will not be easy. Now, one thing that might help with this is if you do a different type of subject matter than whatever gives you a lot of pressure. If drawing faces or figures, or if there's just a specific thing that you're working on that makes you clench up and not express yourself freely, just step aside for a moment and try to draw something else. Just try to express yourself freely in something that you're not studying. If you're trying to study something specific and it's making you unhappy, then just step aside from that and do something else, but just make bad drawings. And bad drawings can be whatever, abstract, whatever subject matter you want, whatever medium you want. For the next month, just do that. And then I want you to just focus on feeling joy while you make the piece, and you're not allowed to show anyone at the end, right? So even if you did accidentally do a great drawing, you're not allowed to show anyone. You're banned. You banned yourself from doing that. So the only thing that's left with this is the experience of drawing. You're not doing any good drawings. You're not going to show anyone. So the only thing that you're left with is attaching good feelings to the process of making. And this is why sketchbook challenges can be great. You know, if you're just exploring and trying different things in your sketchbook, it's a great way to like find the love in it, and then just lean into that feeling over and over again. So the only thing we're working on for 1 month is the joy of the process. And then if at the end of the month, if you're like, actually, I don't care about a bunch of these things, this perfectionism suddenly seems silly, then you've done it right. Because you will realize it through this process is attaching your self-worth to completed drawings is kind of useless. It's not worth anything. It's not going to make you feel good anyways. So you might as well just find the joy in the actual process of drawing instead of trying to like do these perfect drawings and being a perfect artist. It doesn't exist. And it takes a lot of active effort to fight against this urge. Especially if you are someone who's slightly older and you've been a perfectionist for many, many years, there's a specific habit that you built. There's a loop that you built in your mind where you put this pressure on yourself. And I think for a lot of us, that pressure comes from either teachers or parents that really pressured you to do well in school because they wanted it for the safety of your future, which is totally fine. But there's a lot of unlearning that we'll have to do. And just take the time to do it. Give yourself a month, give yourself multiple months. If you don't have a lot of time to draw every month, then I would give yourself like 6 months and just do a bunch of drawings in your sketchbook. Don't show anyone, and you're only allowed to do bad drawings, but enjoy every second of it. Try to figure out, how can I make this as enjoyable as possible? How do I make this as fun as possible? And that will unlock so much creativity within you that's been blocked away by this perfectionism. Ultimately, perfectionism is just a lie that we tell ourselves that isn't helpful. It's an illusion of the mind. It's not within the art. It's happening in your relationship to the art, but it's not in the art. The art is pure. It is not full of this pressure. The pressure that we feel, we're adding that to the experience, and that can just be taken away. We can just remove it and be like, hey, you know what? I'm done with this. I deserve better than this. And that is the best way to become an artist who makes a lot of art. And whenever you are ready to learn some intuitive drawing and also how to draw insane details, go check out my mindful drawing course. I just added a bonus mini lesson where we learn how to draw details the way I draw details in my ink pieces. So if that's interesting to you, check the link below, and I'll see you guys in the next lesson. Bye.